Hello, I'm Tony Brown, and welcome to 5 Minutes at Sunset. Today we're celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and so it seems like a good day to talk about something positive. This episode is entitled Be Positive, and we're going to talk about 3 random things that the universe brought to me this week. Number 1, the continued negativity surrounding all this COVID crap. Number 2, a book by Dr. Shirzad Chamine entitled Positive Intelligence. Number 3, one of our favorite singer-songwriters, Miss Maggie Rose from Nashville, Tennessee. Hopefully, over the next 5 minutes, you will see how these 3 unplanned circles overlap. Now, let's go to work. When I was 13 years old, my grandfather, Grand Lloyd, taught me to use the crying towel. When someone would come up to Lloyd and ask, "Hey Lloyd, how are the crops doing?" He'd always stare at him. He'd respond quietly, "Can't ever be sure. Hopefully the good Lord will help us out this year. We sure could use some rain." Oddly enough, he believed you could jinx a good crop. Or even worse, people might think you were bragging if you sounded like you were just too positive. Either way, that was when I got the lesson on systematic bias against being positive. It came from a well-established farming culture grounded in the poor, red, rocky dirt of the Appalachian Mountains. It's taken me about 5 decades to transfuse my A-negative blood into Be Positive. And thanks to Matt Simmons at 5'10 Expert, I got the tattoo to prove it. So to get us started, first, I'd like to talk about positive intelligence. Last week, I took an online class based on the book entitled Positive Intelligence. It was written by Dr. Chamine, who is a renowned Stanford researcher and CEO coach. Here's the short overview of the class. What it basically comes down to is this: mental fitness is a measure of the strength of your positive mental muscles. Let's call that SAGE, versus the negative, which we will call saboteur. This measure of your mental fitness is called PQ, Positive Intelligence Quotient. Why it's not called PIQ, I don't know. But research with 500,000 participants has shown PQ to be the best predictor of how happy you are and how well you will perform relative to your potential. Thus, this Happy God blog post. Now, just like there is IQ for intelligence or EQ for emotions, your PQ helps you understand where you rank against a relative standard, quantitative relative standard, according to your God-given talents, mastery of skills, and overall individual capacity. Based on the insight you get from your PQ, you can then set to the task of building what my friend Cottrell calls brain discipline to encourage positive mental habits and discourage negative mental habits. Basically, what you're trying to do is live your life walking towards the light and away from the darkness. Speaking of darkness, I think we now need to go and talk a little bit about the global COVID-19 lockdown. I am, and I'm sure you are too, exhausted with hearing all the negative stuff surrounding the pandemic. There is so much negative crap, it's really just too hard to digest it all. So I've created an acronym, SHIT, so I could talk about this in a polite way. Here's my 4-letter word example. For S, sheltering in place. Humans were not designed to stay in prisons, nursing homes, or locked in their basements, only getting out for essential activities. You know, if COVID doesn't get us in the short run, the long-term negative impact on our collective mental health might be what takes us out. Look at all the riots that are going on across this country. Now for H, hurry up and wait, it's maddening. The first wave is coming. The second wave won't ever end. The vaccine should be out soon. But most people probably won't get vaccinated for months. All the good news and the bad news comes these days with hurry up and wait. For I don't know. Can we get COVID twice? Do masks really work? Can you get COVID sitting down? Does COVID go to sleep after the 10 o'clock curfew? The only person who can speak with supreme confidence is some random PhD who honestly says, I don't know. Then finally, for T, them damn masks. Forget the science, forget COVID. When I was growing up, the only people who wore masks were the Lone Ranger, bank robbers, and kids trick-or-treating. I got a big nose, and it needs a ton of clean air. I hate them damn things, but I do wear them anyway. I don't want to be virtue shamed. It really is a bunch of SHIT. Across the globe, throughout our nation, in our local communities, and even inside our families, it's becoming normal to be negative. Personally, myself, I feel like my positive intelligence score has gone down as fast as my COVID-19 pounds have gone up. I mean, it's a mess. But let's finish up with something positive. A case study about Maggie Rose. She is a positive role model, and we should all follow her lead as we sort through COVID-19, COVID-20, and whatever else lies ahead for us. I'm 100% confident that if Maggie Rose took Dr. Chamine's PQ assessment, that she would make a very high score, well above the 75%. Now here's a disclaimer. I am not a close friend of Maggie Rose. I've only met her a couple times and had just brief conversations. I know her like Scott Avett, Danica Patrick, or Thurl Bailey. Basically, they wouldn't recognize me in a lineup. But it ain't really name dropping if you admit they don't know you. So, most of my observations of Maggie Rose are made from a distance and are based solely on her music and her professional endeavors. Let's assume that she did take the PQ test and did really well. I suspect that Maggie Rose would also do very well on Shirzad's Saboteur assessment, which helps identify which of the 10 modes of self-sabotage your mind primarily uses. These saboteurs range from the judge to the controller, the stickler, the avoider, the victim, and so on. It's that negative voice inside your head that holds you back. That's the fish feeder. Since April 2020, I've observed several tangible hints that Maggie Rose, and possibly her band, have a very high PQ score. And they manage their saboteurs very well. From what I can see, her PQ score can be summarized into 5 C's in really no particular order. Number 1, creativity. While others have sat around bitching and complaining, Maggie Rose has gone into high gear. From my observation, she's created a new fan club platform, Patreon, done a Christmas album, put out a ton of new music, and leveraged live streaming technology to keep pushing her music, her art, into the universe. Number 2, collaboration. Since the shutdown, Maggie and her band have virtually or safely collaborated with several new artists. Their music continues to evolve and, quite frankly, absorbs all the emotion of 2020 on many different levels. Number 3, community. Similar to PCG or NC State, one of the first things folks needed to do after the shutdown was to keep their community together. Whether it was Maggie's band, fellow artists, or her fans, it feels like she has allowed her community to grow, and it's as strong now as it ever has been. This must have taken deliberate effort and being very intentional about how she used her time. Number 4, communication. her new monthly newsletter, her new podcast called Salute the Songbird, and emails, text, Zoom shows. Make it all perfectly clear. The show must go on. And there is a bunch of positive energy to be enjoyed. Number 5, commitment. This is probably the most interesting aspect of Maggie's evolution, and it seems obvious to me that she is completely committed to trying new things in her business and art. While I don't know for sure, I might respectfully submit that getting off the road has given her and her band time to reflect and focus on what's most important in their lives. It's been pretty amazing to witness. So there you are. As you face another 6 to 12 months of remote learning or working at home and all the negativity that surrounds COVID, go ahead and know that you are empowered to build and maintain your PQ by following the example of the supremely talented Miss Maggie Rose. I'm Tony McLean Brown. Thank you for joining us for another beautiful sunrise. It actually was a sunset and a quick chat. If you like the energy, or if I hit a nerve, please feel free to post your comments below, like, share, retweet, or do whatever feeds your soul. Appreciate you.